An important notion or idea that Catholic social teaching gets applied to is that of animal welfare. I served for 2 years on the Pew Commission on Industrial Food Animal Production. We went all around the United States and looked at the means of production of food animals, cows and pigs, cattle and poultry. We went from north to south and east to west. We went to large production facilities in Arkansas, in Louisiana, in Colorado, in California. We looked at the way in which livestock are produced today for food and recognized that the way they are being produced in large-scale facilities where thousands of animals are confined, we recognized that this mode of food animal production had something wrong with it. Something was wrong with the system. Not that it wasn't efficient, not that it couldn't handle animals in buildings and feed them and grow them for food. It's the way it was done. It's the manner in which livestock were being produced for food in this country. It's an industrialized system. We began to apply to the production of food animals the methods that we applied to producing automobiles. When you think about the assembly line system that was used to produce automobiles by Henry Ford, that's the same system that was used and is used today to produce pigs, cows, milk, beef, and poultry, not to mention turkeys and goats, etc., other food animals. At one time, Thomas Aquinas wrote about livestock, wrote about animals. And he said that animals were created for the human being, for our use. And so when we use animals, we use them in domestic practices for carrying carts and carrying people. And when we use them for food, that's all appropriate, according to Thomas Aquinas. But the principle of the integrity of creation, of Catholic social teaching, gives us a new insight into animal use, including food animals. Because it says that the natural order, the cosmos, and the human order, the human community, need to be seen as one. That the environment of animals is created by God not just for human use, but also has its own integrity that needs to be respected. Animals have their own dignity, and they should be treated in harmony with the dignity for which they were created. If we look at the Catholic Catechism, if we look at many of Benedict's commentary on animals, we recognize that they're not just created for human use. We just can't do with them whatever we want. And so this industrialized method of creating and growing food animals has significant things wrong with it. First of all, it subjects animals to cruelty. Birds that are created to be eaten or to lay eggs are confined in cages too small for the 7 or 8 of them that are put in that single cage. So they're cramped. They can't turn around. They can't spread their wings. They can't engage in natural behavior. There's something wrong with that. When pigs are confined in cement blocks, overwhelming their opportunity to behave, tied down by crates that restrict their movement, confined in operations that force them to interact when their social behavior calls appropriately from time to time for them to go off and be alone. When we limit animals to just doing what we want them to do and do not allow them their natural instinctive behavior, we're treating them in a way contrary to the inner life that God created in them. And so there's something wrong with this industrialized way of raising animals. You can't just claim that an animal is like an automobile and force it into an assembly line of our creation rather than give some attention to its own manner of life and natural interaction, instinctual social interaction. So we have a problem in this country with the way we are increasingly raising animals for food. We are treating them not with dignity and not with respect, but we're abusing them. And the abuse that we subject them to in these systems is something that the Pew Commission studied for 2 years and concluded in a book that we published called Putting Meat on the Table, whereby we said that we need to change the way we treat animals and the way we raise animals, because we are abusing them, not treating them with dignity, and because the notion that we can do anything we want with animals, which seems to be what Aquinas said, they're created for our use, is not appropriate or adequate when we think more holistically of how nature is meant to be interdependent and holistically appreciated, not just seen as a practical system for just human use. So I think that the principle of the integrity of creation calls for us to relook at the way we raise food animals and the way we treat animals in our human community. We need to appreciate them as having dignity and deserving to be treated with what's been called in the past husbandry, rather than just an industrialized, confined, narrow system that imitates the production of automobiles. Thank you.